All right. Fog gaming
Oh,
is the is the word in the
Oh
news
my
this week.
god. Do you remember last week
Uh-huh.
when we were like just spitballing what could possibly be going on with Sega?
Hmm?
We had so many every Dreamcast game released on Steam, like,
A virtual on cabinet in every home.
yeah.
Microsoft's going to buy them and do that, and it's going to be the Sega Series
The
X.
Sega
Yeah.
Xbox will be hitting the
Yeah.
Asian markets. Yes, the announcement that was said to rival the importance of the PlayStation 5 scoop seems to be the idea that Sega is going to turn Japanese arcades into de facto data centers to stream video games.
That's better than mining Bitcoin, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I don't know which one would be more profitable at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
And they call it fog gaming.
Welcome to the
Fog.
vapor chamber.
Yep,
Fog
that's right.
gaming.
Because you guys ready to upload your saves to the fog?
Yeah, no, I've been in the
Ready to
fog
live
for
in the
years.
fog.
Yeah,
It's everything.
so I'm fine with
In the
this.
future, everything will take place in the fog.
Yeah, so I guess what the idea is, like, hey, no one is going to arcades right now
Yeah.
because a lot of them are closed, but
Yes.
also a lot of those machines sit idle at night. So why not with that, or whether it's some combination of rack mount server somewhere else, who knows? But the idea being, what if people could play these games from their home?
Right. Did they say for
Via the
sure it's
dog.
like you would be playing those games specifically, or just using that horsepower to play games?
My
Dot, dot, dot,
understanding
dot.
my understanding is that it was for games that they will make in the future, not even necessarily like, hey, we're going to retrofit VF5 with this stuff, but maybe they do a Virtua Fighter 5 Fog edition. I was going to say VF6, but let's not be fucking crazy here.
Right. Yeah.
That would be it would be too cool of them to make an actual sequel to Virtua Fighter. So why do it now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, like they don't come out and say this came out of the pandemic, but it very much has that feel to me of like they're just sitting around letting this real estate go to waste.
Yeah, can
And
you
then
find
they're
new ways? And Sega has owned arcades. I'm sure they probably still do
Yeah.
own some arcades. So this seems like a way for them to potentially have those locations earning some kind of profit when they're closed due to either whether it's a pandemic situation or just nighttime. Sure.
Because like
sure.
if you don't know, in Japan, the arcade scene is very much still a thing that it
Yeah.
like unlike it in America where it's only barcades now and Dave and Buster's.
Right. Yeah. Arcades still exist to a certain extent over there. It doesn't seem like they're necessarily getting like a ton of new releases, but it is happening.
Are you familiar with this? What is the name of it? All.net? AllNet. It's like the Sega online like arcade platform that you can
No.
subscribe to. Apparently, like it.
It has a bunch of old games on it too, right? This is like
Maybe.
basically like you get an AllNet, you get a cabinet that supports the platform, and then you can kind of rotate games in and out as an operator.
I would
that
believe
what it
that.
is?
I didn't
Yeah.
look too much into it, but I would.
It's like that. Was it like Nessica Live or whatever? There's a few different platforms, arcade platforms out there.
I guess they've dabbled with that stuff for years, right? Even like when we were going to TGS ages ago, there were games where you could like track your profile across sessions and stuff like that.
Right,
Yeah.
but this is there's AllNet is I'm reading up on it here real quick.
It almost sounds like an Xbox Live for arcade games kind of situation, right? Of like this Ars Technica story says,
Yeah.
like it allows for online competitions, lets players track rankings, profiles, high scores across machines throughout the country.
Yeah, that sounds more like it's grown out of like the VFNet stuff
Right.
from Virtua Fighter 4, like the cards and all that sort of stuff, like you were just talking about. Yeah, so maybe it sounds a little bit more like that. Where I thought, okay, so also, yeah, it is a game distribution system, from the looks of it. So yeah, there are game like basically you can buy a cabinet and then easily update it with a different game if you're an operator, and then
That's pretty cool.
yeah, I don't think it's necessarily like a player picks on the fly, like from the list of games,
Right.
downloads it on the fly or anything. It's more like the operators probably choose what games are there, but it's a game distribution method for like, hey, let's just use the internet to do this stuff instead of having to buy
Setting up boards and stuff.
yeah chips and hard drives and whatever else. Now that all these like modern arcade machines it's just PCs in there at this
Yep.
point. So yeah, that all sounds very doable, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. That seems neat. I'm going to pull up a list of all the AllNet games. So yeah, it's like DOA 5, DOA 5 Last Round, Melty Blood.
Oh, so it's not just Sega games.
No, it's not. Unial, Phantom Breaker, stuff like that. So
God, right? Yeah, I forgot. Like a ton of those fighting games are still hitting arcades over there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
Or
mean,
at
not
least some
yeah,
of them.
they're still coming to our arcades in some form,
Right.
and I think this distribution method, stuff like this, stuff like Nesca Live and all that, like probably makes it possible for like these teams to go like, oh well, yeah, we don't have to go manufacture boards for Melty Blood anymore. We can just make the game on this existing platform, and if operators want it, they can get it.
Honestly, the less work you have to spend on Melty Blood, the better.
Yeah, the game gets better the less work is done to it, probably too. But yeah, so that's cool. The fog gaming thing, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
whatever,
it's like kind of a
sure.
neat, creative idea that would have
Yeah.
been way better without a lot of this hype attached to it.
Well, yeah. So what was that? Was like Famitsu, like columnist or something, right? Or was it
I want
like
to say that guy was not affiliated with Famitsu.
I think he was just an like an analyst.
Like, I think he's a tech writer in Japan.
Okay.
But I want to say
I thought it was a tech writer
I want to say
that-
Famitsu had the scoop, but he was like talking about
he
it.
was saying, "Hey,
Yes.
Famitsu was gonna." Okay, that's what it was.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So this is it's a neat little thing, but
Yeah.
it's not something to get like super crazy about.
Right. Also extremely only applicable to Japan.
Right,
Like
totally.
does not affect this market or most markets at all because we don't have the arcade infrastructure.
Yeah.
Also, Japan obviously benefits from being like small geographically, so like latency is not a huge problem when you don't have to cover big distances and stuff. So like,
But we'll see, just like culturally, how something like this does. I
Yeah.
know, like like people go to arcades, like in times when you can just go places and do things. People go to arcades and play games in person,
and smoke cigarettes.
and smoke cigarettes away, not next to each other like we do here, like on a machine on the opposite side, so you never have to actually look the other person in the face or
yeah.
any kind of contact with them. So, like honestly, Japanese arcades were social
Very
distancing
forward.
for decades.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, forward thinking.
Yeah,
That's right.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's,
but
it's kind of a cool thing. We'll see.
Yeah.
Where it goes.
Mhm.
Just prior to that news coming out, the first piece of Sega news that hit that everybody thought was the big news was the Game Gear Micro, which is
I'm so confused.
a lot of things, but it's not big.
It
I-
is not big. Yeah,
The
it's
Game Gear was like my
half the
first
size.
console.
Wait, what?
Wow.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Run me down the list.
Yeah.
Of, like what
Look how
Game Gear
small
games
it
do you have
is.
fondness
Yeah,
for?
yeah. What were your formative Game Gear games? I need to
that
know.
small.
That's
Sonic. There was I think there was something like Golden Axe.
Yeah.
There was a Power Rangers game that was pretty cool. God, what else was there? Was there a Shinobi? I might just be misremembering that.
there was
I think
probably
so.
there were probably versions of most say big Sega games, right?
Yeah. There was a Columns, I think. Maybe.
Hell yeah.
Maybe.
Do you think any of those games would hold up today if you went back to them now?
Maybe.
Oh.
Maybe a handful of them. Maybe
Wow.
like 4 of them. I'd put.
Dude,
I'd
this
have a
assemble
Rise Star?
together.
this game is called Axe Battler: A Legend.
Battler.
Axe Battler: A Legend of Golden Axe. That is a
Oh yeah, that's the
that
one.
is a metal as fuck video game name.
Battler.
That's pretty good.
Uh,
So yeah, this thing is Japan only for now, right? They haven't announced it for anywhere else, I don't believe.
I believe so.
But it is it's $50. There's 4 colors. The colors are what is it? Black, blue, yellow, and red.
yes.
And each model, each color has a different set of 4 games on it.
I don't understand that.
So
It sounds like a keychain. It sounds like the
yeah,
sort of thing
I
that
think
should be a damn keychain.
If you watch the trailer, I think it's straight up got one of those little notches on the corner where you could connect it to a keychain.
yeah.
Yeah, like to me,
Like a cell phone charm or
totally,
something.
totally. Like
Yeah.
this
We,
thing.
we have to run down the color game.
Okay, all right. So the black model has Outrun, Puyo Puyo 2, Royal Stone, whatever that is, and Sonic the Hedgehog.
Pretty good.
The blue model, Baku Baku Animal,
There you go.
Gunstar Heroes.
Fuck
Okay.
yes.
This is Game Gear Gunstar Heroes.
Okay,
though. It's-
yes. All of these are Game Gear blanks.
Yes.
If you're buying this, you have to know going in you're getting a Game Gear version of it.
Sonic and Tails, and Sylvan Tail.
I just looked up Baku Baku Animal. This game looks incredible.
Baku Baku is great. Baku Baku
Yeah.
is basically Puzzle Fighter in a lot of ways. It's very
It's like
similar.
Puzzle Fighter with like earliest computer graphics,
But like, yeah, exactly. Yes, play it on the Saturn. Don't play it on the damn Game Gear.
Yeah.
Play the arcade version of it.
Especially-
don't play it on Game Gear.
Especially a Game Gear that is 92% smaller than the original.
It's very small.
Like,
This big.
so like the yellow model sounds like the model that nobody should buy because it's all RPGs. It's
Why would
Shining,
you read that text?
right? Shining Force Gaiden, Gaiden 2,
Oh wow.
Gaiden Final Conflict, and Nazo Puyo Aru no Ru.
Sure.
Holy
Stuff
smokes.
like that. Yeah.
I'm getting the yellow version.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it'll all be in Japanese too.
Yes.
So it's kind of
But I just
Perfect.
that screen is like I think the screen is 1.15 inches, which is smaller than the Game Boy Micro, which already
Good
was
Lord.
very difficult to play games on. Then the red model's got columns, Game Gear Shinobi, which is the actual title they have listed here. Megami Tensei Gaiden.
like, what if GG Allen was a ninja? You would get GG Shinobi. No.
Megami Tensei Gaiden Last Bible Special, and Revelations the Demon Slayer.
The 6 AA batteries you would need to power up an original Game Gear is bigger than this. One of
Oh
these.
yeah, oh yeah.
Oh
Oops.
man.
I'm trying to find this one. 2 AAAs or a USB micro power adapter.
2 AAAs, don't do this to me.
So that's the Game Gear Micro.
Wow.
It doesn't seem. I don't know, man. I don't think the Game Gear is good. I don't think, with the possible exception of Coca-Cola Kid, which I found myself playing a couple of days ago, as I was checking through the Game Gear library and going like, is any of this worth a shit? Like, because like at this point, even a lot of those games that were like ports of other Sega games, there are better versions of those out there that you could play instead.
Yep.
And so, yeah, like, what are games that are like only available on Game Gear that are still like good? I don't know. I haven't spent a ton of time with the Game Gear library, so maybe there's like something I'm missing. But like, I feel like a lot of the stuff I tried, it was just like the resolution on the Game Gear sucks. The sprites were always big, and that's like cool until you realize like, oh, I'm trying to play a platformer and I can't see a damn thing because the characters are too big. You know, it's like this zoomed in is I don't know, man. The Game Gear, it was color, but not much else.
But it's so look how little.
And
it
also,
is.
yes, the littleness of it is not again, like
I don't know if it's
I guess in a world where like I bought a fucking small Nintendo and hooked it up once and then went like, that's a small Nintendo. Like, a small Game Gear serves that purpose too. Like, you don't need to play those games to look at it and go like, that's a small Game Gear. So maybe it works out in that context.
These are going to be co-opted into like the only way to securely pass information to other people. People are going to mod them, and they're small, so you can hide them on your person. And you're just
Yep.
gonna like hand the coordinates of the secret meetups to each other on these things. It's perfect.
It's like basically like Johnny Mnemonic, but if instead of he has to get that shit out of his head, he's like, I gotta get this shit out of my Game Gear.
Exactly.
And yeah,
Good luck with that.
Oh, there was a Tails game for the Game Gear.
Was there?
Tails, like Miles Tails,
Miles or of
Miles Tails
Symphonia?
Power,
Oh,
not
Miles Tails Power.
of the-
Oh wow, yeah, this was great. Oh man, but it's not going to be on either 4 of those Game Gears.
I was
the secret 5th Game Gear. Don't worry.
I was not aware of this, but Ghost Cat in the chat says that there's some kind of magnifying screen for this thing.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
magnifier
Which
is
magnifying
makes it
glass
as big as
all
the
over.
situation.
thing itself.
The Game Gear ever have a TV tuner? It didn't, right?
Yeah.
It did?
It did.
Yeah, it did.
I had
Oh.
one of those.
Oh, wow.
With an
okay.
antenna and everything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I thought that was just the Turbo Express.
Just a remake of that that Pulp Fiction scene, except instead of a watch, he pulls out a Game Gear, a micro, and talks about the things he had to do to keep the Game Gear micro safe.
Ben, would it be painful for you to use this device for like an extended period of time?
Oh, totally. Like if this is, I looked at the measurements. This is about as accurate as you can get. So I can imagine even just holding it in my hand is going to force some sort of carpal tunnel issue.
Can I expense one of these to make Ben play it for an extended period of time once we can maybe get back to the office?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, let's break his hands.
Tight.
I'll have to be careful. I might accidentally inhale it.
Oh, that's a legitimate thing someone has to worry about.
You could probably swallow that thing pretty easily.
Damn choking hazard.
This is us escalating, licking a Switch cartridge to its
Ugh.
final conclusion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Swallowing a micro Game Gear.
Yeah, that thing's silly. I wonder if Sega's going to have anything else going on around this 60th anniversary. Like, I feel like aren't they still out there doing like Segata Sanshiro stuff? Like showing, like, wasn't there a new
Yeah,
photo?
like the son
him?
of Sagata Senshiro commercial campaign. I don't know if they finished it or not, but
and weren't
it's
they like
very good.
weren't there like teases of VF6 at some point recently, or there were some
No,
weird
I think
hints at
it
a
was
Virtua
more
Fighter?
that it was like it ended up being like 60th anniversary of Sega. I
right.
don't know necessarily that it was an actual at the time before you knew what they were building up to. You were like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
mean,
think
like,
that turned out to be.
Who would even make a VF6 at this point?
I don't know. I don't know who is at Sega making video games anymore, other than the Yakuza team.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Total, like obviously, like the Atlas is making games out
Right.
there somewhere.
Computer games.
Yeah. Catherine 3.
Yes.